Welcome back to the Andrew Ramon Show. In this episode, we will discuss how many of the youth of this generation are living under the poverty line, but it is not the poverty that you would expect. So let's get into it. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode wherever you are, whether you're listening to it on the car, getting ready for some schoolwork, or however you listen to podcasts or watch podcasts on YouTube. I just want to thank you for that. I want to remind you, we're coming back with a lot of force here on the Andrew Ramon Show. In the upcoming episodes, I'll give you a little sneak peek. We're gonna get controversial. So just hold on tight till we get there. But in the meantime, feel free. You can leave a comment. You can send a DM through Instagram. If there are topics or questions that you have that you think would make a great episode that you are curious to learn about. Again, my main focus, we can talk about finances, but my main focus is not finances. My main focus is how to live relevantly in today's generation without compromising your faith. So yes, that means talking about controversial topics like LGBT and race and politics when we get to it, and Israel. Oh yeah, we're going to get to that as well. But if you have any questions of your own or topics that you want to get into, feel free to comment below or send me a DM, and I would love to make that episode for you so that we can have that discussion as well. I want to remind you, when I make these episodes, it's not, hey, here's everything I've learned, let me teach you. No, really, a lot of it is just an open conversation. Some of these topics I'm still working through myself, but I think it's important that if something impacts me, I want to share it with you. It's just like a gift. I've been given these things, I've been given these experiences that I want to share it with you. Hey, well, I have a personal question since I think we're close, right? Maybe you've never listened to this and you're like, okay, weirdo, back off. We're not that close. Well, if we are close, can I ask you a personal question? Here goes. How much money do you have in your bank account right now? Don't tell, you can tell me. I can't hear you, so you're good. If you're alone in your car, you can tell me right now. Don't worry, I will not hear your answer. And maybe your answer will be like, well, I just got my job, so currently nothing. I haven't gotten my paycheck yet. If you look at my bank account, it's nada, zero, zil, nulch, nothing, right? Or maybe you're a young professional. You got the paychecks rolling for a couple years now. There's a couple zeros. I would be before the period, not after the period, right? A lot of us are like, I have 80 zeros after the dot. No, that doesn't count. So you might have a lot of money. You might not have a lot of money. Maybe you've saved a couple $1,000s. Maybe you have a lot of money in the bank. Again, I don't know your personal situation, but if we're honest, all of us at some point in time, whether right now or before we started earning money, we've used these words. I'm broke. Do you remember that? Maybe you want to go eat with your friends and your response was like, must be nice. Like, I wish I could go eat, but I'm just broke right now. Hey, I've been there. I know how to look. I work with youth all the time. They're always broke and they have jobs. Like that part, I don't get. A lot of them like have jobs, but the main response is, man, Andrew, I can't do it, man. I'm broke. Hey, maybe you be spending on the wrong things. That's all I'm going to say. But I get it. It's a phrase that we use very casually because we all understand that some of us have really been in that broke scenario where we don't have a lot of money in the bank. A lot of people are living in that situation as well. It's funny because I asked that question because recently I had an amazing opportunity to go to the country of Colombia. Now, if you know me, yo soy mexicano, papá. Pero tengo muchos amigos colombianos. I have a lot of friends who are Colombian. And this opportunity opened up because, as you know, my dad's a pastor, and there's an amazing organization ministry called Compassion International. You might have heard of them. If you haven't, man, I cannot recommend them enough. Here's a little backstory. So Compassion International works in like 20 plus countries to provide food, education, classes, and really spiritual, physical, financial help to kids, specifically kids, although that many times includes their families, that live under the poverty line. This is in Africa, in Asia, in South America, in Mexico, all over the world. Well, I knew of Compassion many years ago. In fact, my family and I have been sponsoring a child because that's one of the main things that they do is that they allow you to sponsor a child monthly, and you get to have a personal relationship with that child by writing them letters, and you become their sponsor and you encourage them throughout the years. It's a really neat experience. Well, we started doing that many years ago. I remember maybe being 14, 15. I can't remember the age, but I was young, and we started sponsoring one girl. Her name was Maria for many years. And then I think Maria went out of the program, and then someone else came in, so we started sponsoring her. And this was before I really had a job, so we all kind of split the monthly in between all of us. I remember clearly part of my transfer. If you looked at my numbers sheet, right, my Excel spreadsheet back in the day when I had, okay, how much do I have to transfer? This much for this much for my phone, this much for that. I remember one clear bar was Maria. And it was like $10 for me. It was like $10 monthly. But it really taught me to appreciate the opportunity to give and to make a difference in someone's life. Well, fast forward, I now have a job and everything. And since I got a job, I think it's been about 5-6 years that I've started to sponsor my own children. So now whenever I go on the date, I got to tell her, I got to say, hey, I just want to tell you right off the bat, I come with children. 3, in fact. Okay, so I come with kids. Anyways, that's just a dumb joke. But that's kind of the ministry Compassion. Well, Compassion gathered a group of pastors, and I had the opportunity to join on that trip to see what Compassion does in person. Because you hear about it, you sponsor kids, but what they actually do, you don't really know the details of, right? There's nothing like seeing it in person. So we flew to Colombia, had a great trip. I'll break it down some other time. But the highlights that I want to tell you today is obviously experiencing, I would say, being with kids that experience poverty at such a degree. Now, in Colombia, Compassion serves over 90,000 kids. And all those kids are under the poverty line. What is the poverty line? People that earn less than $3.25 a day. I know. Back when I mowed a lawn, they might have paid me $10. That was more than 3 times what an adult under the poverty line earns in one day. That's crazy. Well, we got to hang out with those kids. We got to minister to them and just learn. And my goodness, were they so joyful. And you know what's very interesting is that they were broke. Like if you think about it in our lines of comparison of the dollar, my goodness, they had no money. They didn't have a lot of money, yet they were so joyful. They were so purposeful. They were so confident. And of course, the classes helped and they got taught, and many of them had a relationship with God, and they knew who they were. They knew their identity. They knew their purpose. And it shocked me because I was talking to one of the leaders of the trip who was also a kid in that program and graduated. Now he's a father of his, I believe 2 sons at least, and amazing man, Samuel. And I asked him, we were having dinner one of the nights, and I asked him, I said, you know what's very interesting is how can you explain the fact that these kids who are literally broke, who don't have anything, their parents don't have anything, they're living in poverty, how do they have so much joy? Like, how do they know who they are and they have such purpose? They have such skills and they've learned so much. Then I work with youth all the time. I work with kids all the time here in the United States. And it seems like our generation is like purposelessness, like dealing with purposelessness. Like they don't even know who they are. They barely smile. Now, if this doesn't explain you and you're a 17-year-old and you're doing great, by the way, thumbs up. But we can all agree our generation's kind of cooked, as the kids say. It's like they don't smile. They don't look up from their phones. They don't really know what to do with life. I mean, they're 17, 18 years old and they're like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. Then I see this 8-year-old and he knows exactly what wants to do in his life. And he wants to be a lawyer, a doctor, a pediatrician, a vet. And I asked him, what's going on? This is what he told me. Listen close. Are you listening? He said, what the youth in America are dealing with is a different type of poverty. That's it. It's a different type of poverty. That shook me. It is so true. You see, when these young kids, they have purpose, they have identity, they have joy, yes, they have physical poverty, but man, in their soul, spiritually, even emotionally, they've been through a lot, by the way. emotionally, they're rich. And that's true wealth. And I think here in America, I can only speak from my experience living in the United States of America. If you're listening from a different country, then you might have a different experience. But I can bet in quote unquote first world, second world countries, we have really misprioritized what true wealth looks like. We have focused on the physical. We have focused on the material. We have focused on having the brand new iPhone. We have focused on having the newest console, having the newest game, having the newest shoes, having the newest fashion over the true wealth that is really inside of us. So today, I want to just break down, and it's not going to be a very long episode, but I want to break down what I mean by the broke generation, because that is our generation today. They are the broke generation. And let me explain what this means. First, let me break down what I saw in Colombia and how this will shed light to what our generation needs right now. Because little did you know that an 8-year-old in Colombia has the solution that you need in your life right now. I know, that's pretty insane, but I promise you that if you pay close attention to what I'm going to say today, it can revolutionize, transform, whatever other big word you can use, it can change your life. So let me explain. There are two main things that really influence the health of a person, that really give them direction, and two things that we all long for. That is purpose and identity. Purpose and identity. If you don't know who you are and you don't know where you're going, buddy, you're lost. You're lost. And we have some people that kind of feel like they know their purpose, but they don't really have their identity, or they might know their identity, but they don't even know where they're going. And this is what's going on, especially from my experience, because this is just the circles that I'm in Christian youth. They don't know their purpose and they don't know their identity. So what's interesting is when I looked at the youth of Colombia that I saw, again, the relevant thing is not that they're Colombian. The relevant thing is what they had in their personal relationship with Jesus, and I'm going to explain that. So they seem to have purpose. They seem to have identity. And then the result of those two things coming together equaled joy. Man, these kids were joyful. Were they perfect? No, of course not. They had bad attitudes. Of course they did. But they were overall very joyful. So how? Because we're searching for purpose here and we're searching for identity. What's the key? What's the secret sauce? Here's what it is. Here's what I observed. Their purpose is connected to how they can help people. Okay, listen closely. To how they can help people. Their identity is connected to who they belong to. And that together results in joy. So their purpose is connected to how they can help people, and their identity is connected to whom they belong. Let me give you practical examples. So their purpose, I asked many other kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Yo quiero ser doctor, yo quiero ser abogado, yo quiero ser maestro, yo quiero ser policía. Man, they really wanted to be these tangible things that clearly help people because they came from a place that needed help. So a lot of them ended up, when they graduate from that program, they come back, they get their certification in college, maybe it's as a pediatrician, and they come in, they serve the local churches of the neighborhood where they grew up in, because a lot of those kids need access to a good pediatrician. So that's just an example. Their identity was connected to who they belonged to God, right? To their relationship with Christ. And then they were joyful because they didn't have those insecurities of purpose and identity. They had something they were working towards. Can I give the contrast now? The other side of the story here in the United States? What I've noticed is we're also searching for purpose. The problem is that our purpose is connected to ourselves and our own personal growth. We're searching for identity, but that identity is connected not to who you belong to, but to what you know, who you know, what you have. How many likes you have, how many followers you have, how many friends you have. That's how we search for our identity. Our purpose is solely really connected to ourselves, to our own personal brand, to our own brand, exactly, to our own personal growth as well. And what happens when we search for purpose this way and we search for identity that way? It comes together and it results in numbness, in depression. You see it, right? You might even feel it right now as you listen to this episode. You kind of just feel numb. Like, it's almost like the world is in gray, right? Joy is seeing the world in colors, is tasting food in flavors. But numbness is just like taking the pill instead of eating a delicious spaghetti a la bolognese and this amazing flavors and colors and all this stuff. And instead, you just kind of are numb to the world. You shrug your shoulders. You don't really know what to do. And you're like, I just don't know. My friend, this is also poverty. We have to change our purpose. Our purpose has to be about wanting to make a difference in the world, not just trying to be different. I'll say it again. Our purpose is to make a difference, not just try to be different, right? Everyone just wants to be different. No one wants to be like anyone else, and we all want to be our own special thing. That's great, but while you're so focused on you, there are other people that need you, that need the gifts and the talents that God has placed inside of you. These kids, they want to be engineers, they want to be doctors, they want to be teachers, they want to be policemen. You ask the average kid in today's society what he wants to be when he grows up, and what does he tell you? An influencer, a YouTuber, a streamer. Do you see the contrast? What? Am I the only one that sees this? They want to be influencers. They want to be YouTubers. They want to grow their personal brand, right? And that's why we focus on the self-help books, because it's all about us. And now you might be thinking, Andrew, I've never used those words. I'm not about my personal brand. Okay, I get it. You're Christian. You're holy that way. I got you. Can I translate it for you? How about my calling, my purpose, my gifting? Yeah, it happens in the church as well. We can see our purpose and our identity connected to the giftings that God has given us, connected to my personal calling, or whatever that even means, and connected to who I know. Oh, I'm well connected, by the way. Oh yeah, I met that guy. I'm pretty well connected. Oh, I'm super talented. I'm super talented, man. When God puts me on that stage, I'm just telling you, man, anointing flows. All right, buddy. Can I tell you something? You're broke. You're broke. You're broke emotionally. You're broke spiritually. Yeah, maybe you got $1 million in the bank, but you are broke, my friend. You are living in a different type of poverty. You know what's crazy? There is a root to this poverty. Just like there's roots to physical poverty, whatever you want to call them. Different episode for that. There's a root to this type of poverty. And you know what it is? It's very simple. It's called selfishness. That is the root of this poverty. Selfishness. It's a perversion to who you and I were created to be. You and I are made in the image of God. God is not a selfish being. You know why? Because he created us. Because he made us. Because he gave himself for us. You hear the word? Give. For God so loved the world that he what? He took? No, he gave. So it is intrinsic to the gospel. Generosity. That is what is intrinsic to the gospel, is generosity. Selfishness is a perversion. It is a anti-hero to who we were called to be. It is, what other words can I use? Anathema, right? That's a Catholic term. But regardless, it's not who we were called to be. And so many of us have allowed selfishness to define our purpose, to define our identity. No wonder we are lost. It's like a person walking around with the mirror in front of themselves all the time. No wonder you trip. No wonder you get bored, because honestly, when I stare myself too much in the mirror, I start looking at all the problems. And I'm like, oh, well. It's like that moment when have you seen the trends of like taking a picture, and if you stare too long at a picture of yourself, all of a sudden you get uglier and uglier and uglier. That's life if you live it selfishly. It just gets worse and worse and uglier and less purpose and blah, 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 blah. Can I give you the solution? You're called to be generous. You're called for your purpose to be linked to helping people. That's what God says in Ephesians chapter 2, that you were created for good works. My friend, check this out. You don't get your identity from good works, but you were created for good works. You are God's masterpiece. My friend, if you are sitting on your butt all day, no wonder you feel depressed, because you were not created to be a couch potato. You were created to go out and help people. God has given you an ability. God has given you a gifting that is not just for yourself. I love this example. The tree, the fruit of the tree is not for the tree to enjoy. The tree is not meant to enjoy its own fruit. The fruit is for those that are walking around it, that are beside it, for them to enjoy. So maybe you've never thought about your gifting before. Maybe you're a great listener. That's a gifting. I ain't got it. And that's okay. I'm working on it, but I don't have it. God has given me the ability to speak, the ability to communicate. That's not for me to just build my own little brand and stuff. That's for me to be brave and courageous and to help people and be a word of encouragement. Maybe you're a great listener. Can I tell you, sometimes what people need is not another great word. It's just someone that can listen to them. And that can be you. Maybe you're a genius. You're brilliant with numbers. And you can help people like that. Maybe you're an encourager. Maybe you're already generous. There's so much that God has put inside of you. You have creative talent. You have analytical talent. Whatever it is, God has put it in for you, into you, not just for you, but so he can work it through you. Let me give you a clear example as we wrap up this episode. We were created to be a river, not a pond. A pond creates stagnation, quite literally. It's just filthy bacteria, because stagnant water is not great for bacteria. And too many of us live like a pond. We're closed off. We're not connected to anybody else. But we weren't created to be ponds. We were created to be rivers. In fact, rivers flowing with living water. A river continues and connects different sections, and it gives life to anywhere it goes. That's what you and I were created to be. We were made in the image of God, that God so generously, Jesus Christ, out of his generosity, came to save us. So maybe it's time to pursue a different type of wealth today. Maybe it's time to ask ourselves, has selfishness defined my calling? Has it defined my purpose? And if you're wondering what your calling is, you're wanting to hear a word from God and you're going, Lord, please speak to me. What do you want from me? Philippians chapter 2, verse 3-4. This is what God wants from you. This is what he tells you. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Bam, just like that. He says, rather in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. So it's time to pursue a different type of wealth. If you're wondering what God's call is for your life, I can give you a hint. It starts by being generous. We'll see you in the next episode of The Andrew Ramon Show.